Good afternoon, everybody. I have almost 4 o'clock, 3:59 in a few seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. First things first is Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand, place your hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Kara, roll call, please.
Whitey?
Here.
Director McMillan?
Here.
Director Picalla?
Yes.
Director Robert?
Here.
Director Avila?
Here. We have a forum. Public comments. Do we have members?
Yeah, members of the public have joined us.
Okay, this portion of the agenda may be utilized by any member of the public to address the board of directors on any matter within the jurisdiction of the board that does not appear on the agenda and on matters that are on the agenda but are not designated as action items. Depending on the subject matter, the board of directors may be unable to respond at this time or until a specific topic is placed on the agenda at a future Calleguas Municipal Water District Board meeting. In accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, please limit remarks to 3 minutes. If you would like to comment, please raise your hand. Okay, no raised hands. Thank you, everybody. Items to be added to the agenda. Do we have any items to be added to the agenda?
No.
No items to be added to the agenda. Has the board had time to review the agenda? Or would like to discuss anything on the agenda?
I just have a couple of comments on item 6 and item 8A.
Okay. Now or at the time of the?
At the time when we discussed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, presentation of California Special District Association Award for Exceptional Public Outreach for Large District, Charlotte Hollifield, Manager of External Affairs.
Great. Good evening, directors. Let me just make this in slideshow mode here. Should be up real soon. Okay, so last week was the California Special Districts Association Annual Conference in Monterey. Director Quady and I attended, and along with wonderful networking and workshops, we were the recipient of the Exceptional Public Outreach and Advocacy Award this year. So I wanted to share a little bit with you about the award, why we received it, and some other highlights from the conference. So you'll recall during the mountain fire, there was a lot of misinformation going around. There was the narrative of hydrants running out of water, firefighters couldn't do their jobs. So we as a team realized we had to push back quickly. And we did that through various social media posts, interacting with traditional media, elected officials, and lots of other ways. The award, which I'll share with you in just a moment, says for your efforts providing timely and accurate information to the community and serving as a resource during an emergency. So we found out we received the award back in May, but we weren't allowed to say anything. And then in July, CSDA sent a crew down to make a video about our efforts during the fire. So I'm going to turn it over to Wes now to please share that video. Share this. Great.
It really was an all hands on deck experience.
We had hurricane force winds.
This was really an unprecedented event for us. Calleguas Municipal Water District delivers wholesale water to 19 retail purveyors. We provide water to about 650,000 residents in southeastern Ventura County, including special districts, cities, investor-owned utilities, and mutual water companies. The mountain fire started at about 9 a.m. on November 6, 2024 in the Somas area, and it exploded. It reached 1,000 acres within a few minutes, up to several thousand acres by the end of the day.
We heard that embers were flying multiple miles The fire was jumping freeways. Houses in our service area were on fire.
So during the mountain fire, several of our smaller water purveyors were impacted, both by the emergency and by the media storm that was happening with the false narrative of hydrants running dry.
They're out of water. So this is Ventura County Fire Station, and the fire hydrant is dry.
It was pretty immediate that information was coming out that we clearly needed to correct.
These events are very scary and people don't know what to do, and they will latch on to any story that they hear as an answer for why what is happening is happening.
Right when the misinformation started, we grabbed an iPhone.
Our senior communications specialist came into my office, spur of the moment, and just said, can you talk for 60 to 90 seconds about how hydrants work?
Explaining that they weren't running out of water and that firefighters account for that situation.
You have pressure drops and you have flow drops. Firefighters know this, they anticipate this, and what they do is they change their operation.
It's so important to tackle misinformation head on immediately before it can snowball into something much larger. We used every available platform that we had to get that information out to the public. This included social media, direct conversations, phone calls, emails, whatever it took. We really worked together as a team.
We had a number of text threads going on, and we stayed in constant communication with one another. And we spent a lot of time making sure we were checking our information with each other and who was going to say what. We had a presence at the Ventura County Fairgrounds, which is where the fire set up their HQ. We approached and/or were approached by journalists from local media. And once a couple local media folks got our story out, it got picked up by LA. So we really looked at media as an opportunity to get our story out and to get the messaging out rather than an oppositional situation. We were also really lucky because we were in such close alignment with the fire department. So it was really important, both on a staff level and to our elected officials, to be available for the briefings and the community events that followed, just to counteract the immediate misperceptions and misinformation that was out. But generally, kind of more globally, to assure people that water systems were in place and water quality was trustworthy, and that the public systems that support these communities know what they're doing. And this is something that we do, something we plan for, and that we are here to serve the folks that are responding to take care of people in an emergency.
Wow.
Share screen here. Yeah, we thought it was a real nice video. It was played before we got the award, and in a happy surprise at the event, there was another winner from Ventura County, and that was the Ventura County Fire Department. So unbeknownst to me, Ventura County Fire is actually a special district. And they won for Innovative Program of the Year for their whole blood program. And the whole blood program allows for packets of blood to be on rescue ambulances so that folks don't have to wait to go to the hospital to get a blood transfusion. It's the first of its kind in the state. The mastermind behind it is that gentleman next to Director Quady, firefighter paramedic Edward Campana. He really got the ball rolling. It's been in effect since April. It was the first blood transfusion in the field, and they've used it 18 times since July 1st. So it's really remarkable, really worth recognizing. And it just reaffirmed that we have an outstanding partnership with BC Fire. Our award was really about that. And afterwards, we had a lovely conversation with them, and they thanked us for all of our support during the fire. They specifically mentioned our confined space training facility as being critically important to them. Of course, we use Lake Bart for helicopter dips. We have funded a pump pod, and construction of the helipod is occurring. So again, just reaffirming our continued strong partnership with Ventura Fire was really lovely at the event. And back to the award for just a moment, I just want to take some time to recognize the critical team in place for communications, one of whom is on the line with us. She's not officially back from maternity leave, but Megan Schneider, if you can hear me, just thank you for all of your exceptional efforts during that event. You were the mastermind behind the video of Ian, which went viral pretty much and got 1,000 views. So that was great. Daniel Cohen, our emergency response coordinator, was also an integral part. as was our deputy general manager, Ian Pritchard, with a lot of the media interviews. In addition, our general manager, I know our board president, other directors attended community events, interfaced with elected officials. And just beyond that, the response was an all of Calleguas response. We had the fill station, we helped our purveyors flush and test. It was really everybody. So that's why everybody's picture is up here. And it was a nice reminder of how we came together as a team during that event. So at the event, we had Controller Malia Cohen come, and State Controller Malia Cohen brought with her some money. And we got some of that money from the Unclaimed Property Fund, which is the state controller's fund of businesses, associations, corporations that can't find people they owe money to. After 3 years, it has to go to the state controller's office. So we got some money from, believe it or not, AOL. AOL. And we got $500 from AOL and exactly 1 penny from Dell. So.
Keeping rates low.
But it was really impressive. At the event, the controller gave out $183,000 to 26 special districts that were owed. So it was great. And just a note for everybody here, if you go to claimit.ca.gov after tomorrow, because it's under construction right now, you type in your name, you might be owed money that the state is holding for you. I talked to a former colleague who said she got hundreds of dollars back. She didn't know what was owed to her. That was owed to her.
5,000 last month.
Did you really? Fantastic. So it works. Claimit.ca.gov. And with that, I'll conclude and thank you.
Great work, staff. You guys have done an incredible job. Ian, that video, spot on. Killed it. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Any questions from the board?
Congratulations, staff, that we've made that happen. And then the other thing is I did talk to Charlotte a little bit after that check we got. This is kind of an indirect compliment to Dan and his folk, because some people got thousands of dollars, and I said, to me, it shows that there's a little tighter money management.
Well, great job, team. Good job. Great job.
Okay. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thanks, Charlie.
Hey, moving on to the consent calendar. I do have questions on this one, and I'm for some of you as well. So let's go through it. Director Collin, what questions do you have on this one?
On page number 10, there's a payment of $49,000, 440. I believe this is for replacement of the cameras at Lake.
Oh, that was my first one.
Oh, then you take it.
Find that one out.
My question is, I'm thinking this is the how many cameras were replaced? And also, how often do we replace these cameras?
So the camera system that is currently installed at Lake Bard has been installed for over 15 years, has been where we're at with it. And life cycle wise, we're starting to have cameras that have failed and we needed to have replaced. So this dollar amount is part of the ongoing upgrades to those cameras. I believe we have 8 in this first section that we're going to be replacing. Some of them have failed, some of them have controls that are not functioning as far as turning or things like that. And so that's first of the charge of the representative of it. That's not the complete amount for what it's going to cost, but that's the first of it.
So you mentioned 8 are being replaced.
Yes.
How many total?
I think we have 22, if I remember, I think is my correct.
And Daniel probably knows because this is
33. See, I was off by magnitude, 33.
Okay.
So it's the 49,000 for 8 cameras?
That's not the full amount. So it will be more than that. This was the first 50% of the cost for the cameras and the rates that have the configurations done on them.
This is the first time we're replacing them since they were installed 15 years ago. So we got 15 years useful life out of them.
I'd love to hear more of those specs and stuff later in the closed session. That's not
Likely.
yeah, for security reasons.
Yes.
I have one more. This item. There's a payment of 6,507. This is for a drone, I believe.
My other one.
We think alike.
Yes, who wants to answer you want to answer the drone question, Daniel?
But
107.
Go ahead.
My question was, are you getting your part 107?
I just signed up for the Part 107 certification course myself, and this will also be part of the presentation later in closed session. We did procure an American manufactured drone, and we are looking forward to kind of building our own drone program out internally here.
How do you plan to utilize this within our systems? What are the different things you could do?
We'll definitely be using it to conduct routine inspections, particularly in areas that are difficult to access. So we do like to monitor security along the perimeter of the property. Some of those areas are difficult to access just with the terrain, the size of the property. We can also use it to create content for public messaging. So putting together videos, films for social media, stuff like that. And then if there is an emergency and we do have an issue accessing a specific location, working with our public safety partners to provide surveillance to those areas if we have a facility or a piece of equipment that we can't get to and we need to see how it's doing.
Have thermal for nighttime?
I have not confirmed if it has thermal. I don't think it does. It's a pretty basic drone. But we wanted to make sure it was an American manufactured drone for security purposes.
Thank you. Other questions on the register?
I have a question on the TMDL page. It's very clean and actually quite bare bones. You can't look at that page though and see that this is actually an activity that Calleguas does on behalf of other agencies. It is something that we do for them. And so I was just wondering if there's something that we can add to that page that indicates that this is not Calleguas' sole responsibility. It's actually on behalf of several agencies that have a pool and go to meet the total maximum data.
I am sure we can add something on some of those pages so that it's identified that it's not our money. It's doing it as a fiscal agent on behalf of the TMDL parties. So I'll work on adding that.
That's all.
Thank you. Jackie, Thibault, all right, Director McMillan, Director Robert, do you guys have questions?
No, in fact, Director Pacala got mine too.
Oh, okay.
Everybody has some questions?
I have one in that case. I'm wondering for FedEx, what kind of stuff do we ship for FedEx through FedEx? What kind of stuff does a water agency ship? Is that documents, paperwork, I'm guessing? Valves.
It's probably a
Well-
mix of things. There are still some documents that you have to like wet sign. I can't tell just from looking at this exactly what was shipped. That might be, and maybe you want to answer that? Go for it.
I know one that I've shipped, so I can tell you for the standby charge, we had to do wet signatures and we had to send it to the county, and I do it by FedEx to make sure I've got a tracking. So I think a lot of it, when we do it, it's something that we want to track the shipment on, know that it's been received there.
Okay.
I think O&M ships gloves sometimes or some things like that, something that they want to track.
Yeah, you have to get the electric gloves certified pretty regularly, isn't it? Twice a year.
So you send them out to a test facility and,
Yes, same thing with calibration equipment.
okay,
For the control system group, they send out calibration equipment that costs a lot of money, so they make sure that it's insured and has tracking on it.
okay, thank you. That's exactly what I was wondering. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all of those answers.
BPS Supply Group, clay valve for Wellfield, are those spares or? We ordered some clay valves for the Wellfield. Are those spares?
They are spared.
Okay.
Okay, and with that, I'm looking for a motion for the consent.
I make a motion.
We have a second.
Second?
Okay, we have for second, roll call, please.
Director Quady?
Aye.
Director McMillan?
Yes.
Director Pacala?
Yes.
Director Robert,
Yes.
Director Avila.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item 7 is action items.
Nothing.
Action items, nothing items. Number 8 is reports. First one is the monthly status report.
Yeah, we're gonna be highlighting items 2, 15, 58, 67, and 68. And 58 and 67 may be in the wrong order in the presentation. I just fixed them.
Hello, Henry.
Yes, so we got Henry to start.
Evening, directors. Henry Gromlich, Executive Strategist for the district. And tonight I'm going to highlight Metropolitan's recently adopted framework for member agency water transfers and exchanges. It reflects an evolution of Metropolitan's business model as being the sole provider of supplemental water to meet the region's water supply reliability. As a practical matter, different member agencies have always had different relationships to Metropolitan supply, depending on their particular resource mix. Member agencies vary in their use of Metropolitan depending on hydrologic variation of other supplies. For instance, Los Angeles and its Owens River supply, availability of groundwater in Orange County and other agencies, and other sources of developed supplies such as the Water Authority in Carlsbad. There are also differences among member agencies in the relative cost of metropolitan water. For Los Angeles, it is one of its most expensive sources. For the San Diego Water Authority, it's one of their least expensive supplies. And then these differences are more pronounced during water shortage allocations for metropolitan. So where there are differences among the member agencies, there are opportunities. Right? Where there are differences, there's opportunities. And the concept in this exchange program is very simple. It allows member agencies to develop mutually advantageous agreements for the exchange of water. You see that in the green arrows on the slide. Green is money going back and forth. And Metropolitan simply facilitates the exchange by letting one member agency buy additional water instead in lieu of its local supply, and then deliver water to the buyer of that in lieu of actually transferring the local supplies. So this is only a framework as such, but opens up opportunities that are only limited by the creativity and the cooperation of the member agency managers. And for our Calleguas, it opens up opportunities for us to improve reliability for the service area at times when Metropolitan experiences shortage allocations. So that's it for me. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Henry. Do we have questions from the board, comments? Director Quady?
Yeah, I guess I'm struggling a little bit with following the value transfer. So I'm just trying to figure out how does another agency now own the surplus value and the seller's storage value is used?
So this has been a question that the Metropolitan Board itself has struggled a little bit with. Perhaps it's easiest to understand in the case of San Diego County Water Authority. If you have developed excess water supplies that are more expensive than Metropolitan's water supply, you have an interest in selling some of that surplus water, even if you don't sell it at the price that it costs to develop it, in order to start to recover some of that investment back. So that's one way it could work. Another way that it could work is, let's say you, under the water shortage allocation, you take a haircut, but your local resources are expected to be used to their greatest extent possible. This provides an opportunity for a member agency that might be more sensitive to water supply allocation cutbacks to purchase water on an ongoing basis, maybe like an annual fee to another agency, in order to have access to that water that they would normally get during a water supply allocation. So none of this has been worked out in detail at this point. And this idea that Metropolitan would provide that flexibility has a lot of people putting on their thinking caps to saying, like, what would be of value to me? And how would I structure a negotiated agreement with another member agency that would both control the risk, because if you pay for some perceived future benefit and you don't get that future benefit, right, there needs to be provisions for you to cover that. So I'm sorry, I cannot be like more specific. With the Metropolitan Board said, this all sounds good and fine. Let's see some of the initial agreements as they go forward so we can better understand this.
It's a great concept to move water from sub-agency, member agency A to member agency B. And what I'm understanding is Metropolitan will facilitate. They would actually have agreements. They will deliver the water, keep the accounting like we are doing for TMDLs.
Right.
Correct? It's a very similar concept.
And yes, you're exactly right. And kind of the difference, I think, that we see in this framework as opposed to water wheeling is that Metropolitan doesn't take a cut of money for doing this. All the member agencies have paid for that infrastructure that connects us to each other. And this is a way in which we get a return on that investment by being able to use it between member agencies.
So was there a discussion about charging wheeling charges as part of this program?
No.
No. Thank you.
It'll be interesting to see how this interacts with pre-purchased water allocations and incentives during wet years. It'll get complex, but
it definitely,
it's a benefit, right?
Yeah. No, if you like to take a complex system and make it a little bit more complex, this is the program for you.
A little more, a little more fluid.
Thank you, Henry.
Thank you.
All right, number 15.
Good evening, directors. For number 15, this is about Future Camp. This is a summer camp of students from Oxnard Union High School District. And so they were from several different schools. There was about 45 of them in this camp. And they reached out and wanted to know if they could come and have a tour of the district. This camp focuses on students who are very interested in STEM. It's future engineers. A lot of the kids really want to be engineers. They're very focused on technology and how that is utilized in various industries. So there was a group of about 45 of them, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders that came, and we gave them an overview of the district and water, and as well as talked about careers and things that they could do in the water industry. And then Julio gave them a really great tour of our facilities, including the control room and the filtration plant, and really highlighted where we are utilizing technology and different things like that for our water systems. And so they really enjoyed the field trip. And then we got invited to come back to their closing ceremony and be judges for their final projects. So Jen Vasquez and I were able to go down there and see their final project presentations and act as judges and be there for their closing ceremony. So it was a lot of fun. Their final projects were, they were in groups, and each group had to develop a colony for Mars. And they had to think about how are they going to get their air, their water, their food, the housing, and they also had to think about mental health. So how are they going to keep their scientists from, getting too bored or anything like that. So it was really great to see the creativity that the students put into it. And we were especially interested to see how they came up with their water systems. So that was really fun. And we just wanted to highlight that. We love reaching out to educational groups and being able to connect with them because, as a wholesaler, we don't have those relationships with the schools that the retailers who serve them do necessarily. So when we get to build those relationships, it's really special.
Thank you, Jen. Do we have questions, board?
What a cool idea.
Mhm.
That's right. Especially 9th, 10th, 11th grades are important. That's when they are trying to decide which career to go, which path to take.
Right.
Perfect.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
And we went a little out of order. 67 is going to come before 58 because that's the order the slides are in.
67.
67.
Good evening, board members. I'm David Hernandez. I'm the Assistant Operations Supervisor. Been with the company a little bit close to 10 years now. And I get to cover number 67. So hot days, cool heads. How can we guarantee we're going to keep a cool head, right? Ensuring summer readiness at Lake Bar Water Filtration Plant. So at Lake Bar Water Filtration Plant, typically aligns with Metropolitan Water District maintenance shutdowns, which typically occurs between like December through March, right? So we still have to ensure that we can deliver water in the event of an emergency to the surrounding communities, right? So why did we choose the summer? Well, we had a summer plant run because during the summer, it has effects on the water treatment processes because of the temperature of the water, and it brings a whole different program for us to achieve the goals that we're trying to achieve with the water treatment, right? So what do I mean by that? Usually we run the plant during the winter, which makes it easier because the lake is stratified, the water's uniform, super easy to do water treatment. Well, during this plant run, we learned that the lake having lower levels of oxygen causes effects on the treatment work that we do. So I'm getting nervous, sorry. So why do we have the summer plan run? Well, we wanted to be prepared for the event of an emergency. So this summer plan run allowed us to prepare our staff, our facilities, to ensure that we were ready in the event of an emergency during on-peak demand like summer time. So what were the outcomes? What were our takeaways from this plant run? Well, we learned that amplitude of flow changes and demand increase our preparation to get the plant ready. Oxygenation of the lake. So we had no oxygen in the lake, so we had to address that. And also crew identified crucial needs and redundancy in our treatment plan. Sounded better in my head, I promise.
Hey, great, David. And this was something that Omar Castro, our manager of operations and maintenance, really felt strongly about to make sure that we're prepared. And I know from talking to David that he really drilled down into some seriously detailed water quality analysis to really look at how to optimize the treatment process and to make sure we got as much data, useful data out of the operations so that we're better prepared should we ever need to run the plant in the summer.
100%. So my expertise are there, right? So I could nerd out about the water treatment. So like I said, during winter, it makes it so simple for us to treat the water, right? Because everything's uniform, pH, temperature, dissolved oxygen is all perfect for us. But the lake is stratified right now. What does that mean? Well, the upper layer of the lake, it's a lot warmer. Therefore, the lower layers have no oxygen. Why? Because it can't mix to the different temperatures, right? So what does that do to the treatment process? Well, what happens in the treatment process is that we have to introduce an oxidation, which is chlorine. That's what we use in the water treatment industry, right? Well, when there's no oxygen, some of that chlorine demand is absorbed. So therefore, there's higher demand needs for us to introduce more chlorine. Well, why is that important for us? Well, if there is an emergency during the summer, we collected all this data, then now we have STAR that we can utilize to start the treatment plant during the summer. They can benefit the future of our department and all the future operators. Now we have this information that we can utilize as a starting point that's the starting point to start the treatment plant.
Perfect.
I believe you told me this morning how much more chlorine demand we had during this run versus the winter. Do you mind citing that?
No, absolutely not. Yes. So what we learned historically, we dose, let's say, for example, we'll call it 2 parts per million, right? And then at the end of the treatment process, we're seeing about 1.5 parts. Well, during the summer season, because it had no dissolved oxygen, not to get too complex on that, we were dosing about 6 parts to achieve the same goal. So why is that important?
So much chlorine.
And the reason that I say that's important, because if there is an emergency during the summer, well, we need to check, do we have enough chemicals? Do we have enough chlorine? So all this information is extremely beneficial for the future of a summer plant run. So
Yeah, and we do always keep chlorine available in case we need to start up the plant. We don't keep liquid oxygen, so that is something that we have to bring in order just to run the plant, and that's also the source of the oxygenation for the lake ox system that helps improve the treatability.
that's correct. Ozone is our primary oxidizer in our treatment plant. Secondary would be free chlorine.
How long was the test run? How long did you do this?
It was about 8 to 9 days.
You did 8 to 9 days.
Wow.
Wow.
And once again, I've been here close to 10 years, had never done a summer plant run. So we read it all in the textbooks and we're like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. But then we actually see it during the treatment process. You're like, wow, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
And I can go down the rabbit hole explaining the no deal and all that, but I was like, I'm gonna get lost in here if I try to explain that, so, which I still did.
Out on water quality, Director Quady would be happy to join.
Yes. David, I want to say, great job. You have no reason to be nervous out there. You killed it. You did a great presentation.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
But do you have Director Quady, you had a question?
Yeah, I just have a real fundamental question. Because I was just wondering if you had different take spots where you could have the influence to the plant.
Absolutely, that's a great question, yes. So
Temperature difference between winter and.
oh, the temperature difference was, so we were seeing about 20 degrees Celsius and typically we see about 14 and 17. But that's a great question because yes, we can draw from the lake at different levels, right? So originally when I was getting the treatment plant started, we started drawing from the upper layer of the lake just to get that data as well. Because in case of an emergency, I said, well, every valve there sits at about 70 feet of difference. So I say, hey, worst case scenario, if this is an emergency, if we can treat that upper layer and then the deal should start to come up as we're rotating that leg, we can move to the lower layer. So we treated the upper layer, which is tower valve 2, and then we ended up staying on tower valve 3. And we were still able to succeed at that level, even though DOs were low.
Wow, great to know.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, out of order, on to 58. We've got Wes, since Wes had to respond to this emergency in the middle of the night.
Yeah, so 58 is one of those unfortunate times that you don't want to get called in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning is always a fun wake up call when you're on the property at the lake. But when the control room calls you up and says, and I ask them, what's going on? And they're like, we have no power in the chlorine building. And we knew we were in the middle of a summer plant run. That was like I'm on my way right now call. On my way right now. I was not the only one that got called in that morning. Julio Reyes came in as well. So staff realized that during the plant run in the middle of the night, the power went out to the chlorine building. The power failure was a power feeder from Conejo Pump Station. So the chlorine building downstairs gets its 480 volt power from Conejo Pump Station. As you guys are aware of, we do have a upcoming specification 480 is the Conejo Pump Station Rehabilitation Project, which the chlorine building is a part of. So these are some relatively older feeder cables. And it was just their time to decide that they did not want to join the chat anymore and left us. So we responded at 2 o'clock in the morning, took a look to see what was the issue with the very strong pungent electrical burning smell inside the chlorine building. I went into full troubleshooting mode, realized that after re-energizing the breaker and an immediate trip of an arc flash, that it was a feeder issue. And then one of the fortunate things with this one was that we had a secondary power feed into that building that was installed in a previous project when we had our old caustic scrubber on the chlorine system in there. And those feeder cables were still in great condition and were rated for the ampacity that we needed to run the chlorine building. So the staff that responded in the middle of the night was able to make a temporary connection and get the chlorine building back up and running, which allowed the operators to go ahead and finish the plant run as far as finish treating all the water that was filtered into clear wells and be able to drain the clear wells down like we normally do during a plant shutdown. And then after the operations was able to get that done, they went ahead and disconnected all the chlorine cylinders to make the chlorine cylinder safe. And then the following day, we had a power shutdown to do a permanent splice to fix that power feed so that we have permanent power to the building. Things to note on that, the gas monitor sensors in the building were working continuously the whole time because they are on battery backup power, as well as our emergency shutoff valves on the cylinder. So had we had a chlorine leak, it would have been isolated at that point. Now the scrubber would not have run because there was no power to the scrubber, but everything would have been contained to the building like it's designed to be contained to.
Good. Thank you. Great work. Do we have questions?
House, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Wes, for the update and responding that night.
Okay, last one, 68.
All right. I'm not saying they saved the best for last, but I am last. I'm introducing a couple of the best from our latest recruitment. So as soon as the board approved the reclassification of the positions within O&M in June and July, Human Resources hit the ground running with our internal recruitment for both the cross connection control specialist and the painting and coatings senior maintenance crew leader. Those are a mouthful. During the recruitment process, we did something that we've never done before. Omar spearheaded an interview preparation training for all interested O&M staff. Omar, Ian, and myself shared tips and tricks from an interviewee, panelist, and human resources perspective to help encourage and empower staff to attend interviews prepared and confident. So the results of the interview were not just that we found 2 highly qualified individuals to fill these positions, but that we had a great pool of internal candidates that are highly qualified, dedicated, and prepared for future growth opportunities at the district. It also left the panelists with 2 very tough decisions, but not impossible. So, drum roll. Next slide. First, please join me in congratulating Chris Naster on his promotion to the Cross Connection Control Specialist position. In this new role, Chris will be responsible for ensuring the safety of our water system by monitoring and preventing potential cross-connection control hazards. His attention to detail and strong technical skills made him the perfect fit for this new position. Chris has been with Calleguas for 3 years as a water treatment operator in the control room, working those 12-hour shifts, day or night. And as a licensed treatment and distribution operator, Chris is highly qualified to step into this new role. And not only is he looking forward to normal work shifts, he is looking forward to leading and implementing the new cross-connection control program for Calleguas. Congratulations, Chris.
My name's Chris. I look forward to starting my new role here at Calleguas and continuing to maintain Calleguas' standard of excellence. So thank you.
Thank you.
Other drum roll. Thank you. So next, join me in congratulating Ronnie Flores on his well-deserved promotion to Senior Maintenance Crew Leader for Paintings and Coatings. So Ronnie brings a wealth of experience to this role. Before joining Calleguas just over a year ago, he worked extensively in corrosion control and specialized paintings and coatings on the oil rigs. It's also an environment where precision, safety, and expertise is critical. Here at Calleguas, he's shown the same commitment to excellence as a maintenance worker on our system maintenance team. In addition, he has continued to pursue water operator education and certification. In this new role, Ronnie will lead our maintenance crew with a focus on protecting and preserving our facilities through high-quality coatings and corrosion prevention practices. So we're excited to see him bring his knowledge and leadership to our team and continue raising the bar for quality and safety. Congratulations.
Thank you for this opportunity. Me and my family are really thankful for it. And we hope to start this coating and paintings program and make some changes within the system.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Johnny. Thank you.
That's the last of the highlights.
All right, now let's go to the board. I'll start with Jackie. Do you have any items you'd like to bring up? Staff report.
Besides my hair constantly falling down.
We are working on that.
I think 47.
7. that back up. And we'll go through Queedy while he looks his up. What's your list?
23,
23,
44/46,
34, 46,
item 50, 56, 62, and 71.
71.
Mine was 46, not 47, so.
Okay.
Same list.
Director Pacala,
I have a question on item 1.
item 1.
And then item 2, I guess, second bullet. MWD proposed increase in the capital investment plan. Those 2 questions.
Thank you. And I have, Director Quady took some of mine, but I guess, out 81, 86, and 90. Okay. Want to kick it off, Director Pacala, with your questions on number 1?
Yeah, mine are easy. So
I'll be the judge of that.
Well, as the staff report says, the RFPs are due on October 8th for the regional desalter study. My question is, how many of the participants in the desalter group have gotten back to Calleguas about their participation?
So all of the participants in the working group attended one of 2 call meetings I had back in May. I would say less than half of them provided comments on the actual RFP, or maybe about half of them provided comments on the draft RFP. And then we're kind of now in the process of just talking with consultants. And so there isn't really anything for the working group to take action on until those proposals come in.
As was the cost sharing, they were all.
I only got really minor comments on the cost sharing agreement from Thousand Oaks.
Okay.
It's a pretty simple, straightforward agreement. It also doesn't have any numbers in it yet. They might have comments on that later.
Item 2.
Item 2, this is second bullet, I believe, on page 29. Proposed increase in capital investment plan for MWD. Yeah, it's they have been investing quite a bit of millions and millions of dollars. I guess 2025 just $688 million. And as we move forward, 27, 28, close to $1 billion. My question is, did MWD consider doing it over a 5-year period instead of 2 to 3 years, so there's a smoothing of rates? Was that ever discussed?
Who's in the best position to address this?
Yes, the question about smoothing the investment in the capital program has been foremost in mind. And actually bringing this in at this particular fiscal year helps do that. I think the understatement of the month of August was the engineer saying, now I know $900 million sounds like a lot of money, which it does. It is a lot of money. What the Metropolitan Board of Directors has been looking at is just how underfunded their rehabilitation program is. So when you look at industry standards for the amount that you should be spending, they're at about 20% of that. So you can imagine, what it costs to fully fund rehabilitation and replacement at industry standards. It's a common problem for infrastructure that was built in the mid to late 20th century, which is now starting to show its age.
Yes.
So smoothing is important. You put your finger on it. Reliability and cost are the 2 things that Metropolitan is always trying to balance. And this priority at keeping the infrastructure up to snuff, ability to perform, has been one of their basic elements that they're looking at for the budget. So they would expect the approval for the current biennium in October. That is going to set a baseline for their deliberations for the next budget cycle.
Did they already make a decision about financing? How do they finance these improvements?
No, that is usually done in the context of the entirety of the budget. So once they put together the entire budget, they look at the amount of pay-go and the type of financing in order to try to smooth the rate. They have heard loud and clear that the member agencies understand that costs are going to go up, but they do not like sudden shifts in the costs. So to the extent they can make that smooth, they're trying to do that. They understand that that's a priority.
Thank you, there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Director Collin. Okay, moving on to item 23. Wait.
Yeah, I just want to know what least cost acquisition is.
Yeah, so least cost acquisition is essentially the water master or GMA buying up allocation, unused allocation that allocation holders, landowners are willing to sell. It's essentially like a reverse auction. So they would hypothetically, if there's the initial operating yield this year is 40,000 acre feet. If say 5,000 of that went unused amongst, for the sake of argument, 20 different landowners, water master would ask those 20 landowners, what are you willing to sell your allocation for? And then they'd buy it from the person that's selling for the cheapest.
Any one of those 20.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's a way to conserve, keep that water on the ground. Today, because there's not a functioning water market and transfers have to go kind of one by one based on word of mouth and knowledge of your neighbor's allocation, it's not that likely where a neighbor or another landowner could get into like a bidding war with the GMA. So today the GMA doesn't need to buy unused allocation because there's no one else to really buy it or transfer it. So it'll just stay in the ground kind of for free from the water master's perspective. But eventually, once people get used to trading allocations and selling allocations, it's going to have to, the GMA is going to have to enter the market and offer some kind of compensation for that water that today is staying under the ground.
Thank you, Ian. 44 and 46.
Yeah, I want to sneak in a little bit. Great due diligence on number 26. Okay, so the secondary access, items 44, 46 was there any interesting community feedback we got?
Yes. Good question. Yeah. So we met with, well, we were anticipating the two property owners at the end of the cul-de-sac that were interested in acquiring some right of way to build the secondary access road. And the project manager and our right of way agent set a meeting with two homeowners. It looks like it was the entire block. So there was approximately 16 people in attendance at that meeting at the cul-de-sac, and so the comments were shared. So we received those and we put those down, and we will be responding to those as well as potentially looking to have an open house and invite those neighbors over to get to know us a little bit more, so we can address some of those questions that they had or concerns they had, specifically around security, potentially devaluing the neighborhood, because now the cul-de-sac may be a cul-de-sac, even though that's still going to be a cul-de-sac. We're just adding a secondary access to this one facility. So a lot of questions that were shared, and the project manager wasn't entirely ready to respond to all of those, but we were certainly listening and writing those down. And we plan to respond to each one of those in the next couple of weeks.
I'm glad you're doing it, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good progress.
Next one's mine.
46.
That was related, I think.
That was related. Okay.
I think that's probably the update for 46 as well, right? It's just the next step.
We're going to be having a committee meeting on that within the next couple of weeks as well.
That's the plan. We need to get something calendared pretty soon.
All right. Item 50.
Item 50, having to do with carbon. I guess this is just more a comment that, CARB, although it's CSDA, I didn't notice they were missing the first night. And I wanted to go talk to them, but anyway, they are being invited by many Region 8 people to come see our setup and problems with some of the regulations you're coming down. And so far, there's been some agencies that have done that. So I don't know if you need to, or if we have anything that you want to bring to Nick Blair, but that's.
Yeah, we did see a presentation by, I think it was Calleguas agency up north, and their presentation, they shared with us and the other CSDA members on their experience.
It was the Aqua Energy Committee meeting. I asked Fernando to sit in on, which you may have seen as well. There were some great presentations from 3 different agencies who invited CARB.
Yeah, 3 agencies. Yeah, absolutely. And I think they did a great job delivering the message on the challenges that they're posing, that the state is posing by implementing these regulations. So we would be happy to sign up to a letter if one was prepared. But really, there are the same challenges they're facing, we all are facing, from not being able to move our equipment, personnel to do our day-to-day operations because the limited equipment that's available right now and into the future.
Yes, how frequent, how many hits do they? Visits do they usually for every visits?
Great question. Yeah, that's a question for Carl. How many more visits do you need? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Yeah. Was that 56? Oh, 56.
Yeah, 56. I guess this may be a dumb question, but I wanted to ask it anyway. The air vacuum valve, when you had a leak, is that air or water?
Was water.
Okay.
So luckily it was contained within the vault, but yeah, we caught it just in time before it made it to the surface.
Yeah, then this is Matt Gomez sitting in for Omar tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, 60.
I'm sorry, and it's great to have those extra rebuild kits sitting around, isn't it?
Yes.
Is there a sensor in there that alerted us, or how did we notice?
What?
Is there a sensor in there that alerted us?
Oh, actually, there was a construction project going on. So there's a resurfacing of asphalt. So we had one of our construction inspectors, Steve Lazar, on site. And one of the tasks he was tasked with was to measure down several inches because they were going to be doing a resurfacing. So when he popped open the lid to the vault, he noticed water.
Oh.
So luck of the draw. And then we went out there, dispatch staff, they tested the water, tested TDS, we knew it was high, and then pumped out the vaults and then noticed the leaky air back. Lucky it was a small leak though.
Thank you, Matt. 62.
Hazard surveys with cross connection. I don't understand what a hazard.
Welcome back.
Sorry, what's the question?
Basically, I've never associated hazard surveys with cross connection, so you're going to teach me something.
Yeah, so we outsourced this time around because since we got Chris Naster as our new cross connection and backflow specialist, we had Toro Enterprise come and do a survey throughout the system. And they tested all of our current backflows that we have. So irrigation, anything that's feeding anything within the chemical treatment facilities, they do their annual testing on that.
Okay, so it is a hazard assessment of the valve itself.
Hazard assessment of the valve itself. So there was, yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Matt. Moving on to 71.
That's gonna be you too, Matt. Don't go too far.
I just had a question about, does CUEA have a list of pre-event prep items to locate? In other words, do they throw out a list and saying, here's things that we may ask at some emergency point so that you already know ahead of time if you need to find those things?
Great question. And I do not have the answer for that, but I can definitely find out for you.
Okay.
Oh, Tricia, you were
Something Daniel.
okay. Sorry. Pass the baton.
So yeah, nice. Again, Daniel Cohen, Emergency Response Coordinator. That is a California Utilities Emergency Association request that we received. It is very similar to CalWarn in that it's just a mutual assistance agreement where we may receive a request. We are not obligated to respond to it. In this case, we did have a pump available that could have helped resolve their issue and restored temporary water service. They ended up not fulfilling that request. So we made it available to them. They ultimately didn't need it.
What I'm trying to get at is the time of request versus how long it takes to find what it they need. So in other words, if they give you any kind of heads up, you know, here's what we typically need in a system down scenario. But put out, here's a draft or here's a tentative list of the things that we might look at to help bring our system back around. I just wondered if that existed.
That does not exist. From my experience with both CalWarn and the CUEA request, it's really specific to the incident and the piece of equipment they need. So there's not a database of available parts or equipment or anything like that. It's really, hey, we need this pump at this flow rate, these specs, this size. Does anyone have it? And then member agencies that are a part of those agreements will respond and say, yes, we do, and it's available if you need it.
So there's no way to prep for that at all.
In my experience, most other agencies aren't interested in kind of those cooperative inventories. It's something we do in-house. We know what we have, but unfortunately, they're just not as open to sharing what they have and what might be available if we needed it.
It would be nice if everybody was on this page for that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I also think it's a pretty exhaustive universe of possible possibilities. And I think it would also be out of date fairly quickly. So I think that, asking for a specific thing in the moment is probably more efficient. Yeah.
That's all you can do. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I have two really easy ones. For Wes, number 86, with the 0 users clicking on the link, out of how many phishing attempts were made?
It's one a month that goes out to our staff. There's it to every single person every single person on the company, including you guys, all of the board, as of the board of directors. You guys also have one that comes into your guys' email as well.
Spam filter. I haven't seen one in a while.
I would not say that one goes to the spam filter because it is clearly defined not to go to the spam filter so that it goes through. If not, it wouldn't be effective. So, right, it needs to go through to everybody. And we run 2 scenarios. So not every single person will get the same email. If your buddy next to you in a cube next to you is like, hey, I got this email, it's the phishing campaign, the other guy might not get the same email. So, it still tries to trick him up that way.
Okay, in that case, great job. All staff, thank you. Keep it up.
I think the last one's for you too, Wes, so.
Yeah. Last one is 90, with the help desk functions. I'm just curious, how frequently are we encountering computer issues, computer problems, and how fast do we get, employees back up?
I would say that most of our help desk tickets, the SLA times on them are within a day, that we have a response back to them. Most of the time it's fixed. A lot of times it's minutes. Whenever we get them, there's 3 of us that are a part of the IT department. We all get the email from the help desk tickets coming in for the initial ticket for coming in, and then we go ahead and take care of them as we can at that point.
Okay, so pretty quick.
Yes.
I can testify that they are very responsive.
Yeah. My computer for my job is gonna be out for ongoing 2 weeks now, so just making sure we're not doing that.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
Wes. All right, and with that completes the general manager and staff monthly status report. Next up is state and federal legislative update. Charlotte.
Wearing my other hat here, directors, I am going to give you a state and federal legislative update, as well as talk about some of the policy issues we've been involved with advocacy of external affairs. So thought we'd start off with a bit of scheduling here with our legislative calendars. So right now it's crunch time in the state legislature. It's the last final days of session. They adjourn September 12th. All the policy committees are done meeting. All the fiscal committees are done. So the only committees that can still meet are sort of administrative, whether it's rules or conference committees. The governor has until October 12th to sign bills. He can sign, he can veto, or neither, and it becomes law without his signature, which is different on the federal level. Next year, the legislature will re-adjourn in January. It is the second year of the two-year session, so many bills will carry over. New bills can also be introduced, so I'm sure there'll be plenty to dig into there. And on the federal side, both the House and Senate were in recess in August, and they will be back in session now through December with periodic work periods back in the districts. So the way I'm going to approach this is you all have two matrices. State one is beginning on page 44 of your packet, and I'm going to provide you with updates since there are some late breaking developments since that matrix was included in your packet. So I'll go through the bills that have had some updates, and if you have any questions, feel free to stop me along the way. The first one is Senate Bill 454, which is the PFAS Mitigation Fund. It would provide funding for water suppliers that are impacted by PFAS for them to clean it up. It's a good bill. We've supported this bill. It's moving. It's on the Assembly floor for a vote. Senate Bill 601 has to do with water discharges. It did not pass Assembly appropriations. It's a two-year bill. This has to do with federal regulations stemming from the Sackett decision versus EPA, which rolled back some protections for waters of the United States. This would restore some of those protections, and some folks think it goes too far. Our impact is probably minimal, but we're going to keep watching it, and we'll have the opportunity to do so as it continues next year. Senate Bill 707, I'm calling the Brown Act Super Bill Act. It was amended yesterday favorably. You heard about this from the CSDA liaison last night, but just to refresh your memory, this bill would have done quite a few things with regard to the Brown Act. Translation requirements, public outreach requirements. Special districts were not included at first, then they were in, then that universe got whittled down to just about 32 special districts that might be impacted across the state, and we are not one of them. This bill, however, does have some implications for our district. There's nothing super egregious, but I think it's worth a deeper dive into what those are. It has to do with things like social media for the board. Some just cause can now be immunocompromised can now be one of the just cause reasons for not attending a meeting in person. But again, I think that deserves some more attention. I'll work with our general manager on how to get you that information. AB 532 is a low-income water rate assistance bill, another two-year bill. This was supported by many water suppliers. It clarifies that water suppliers can have a low-income rate assistance program. Sometimes there's some confusion around that for Prop 218 reasons. Suppliers aren't really sure whether they can do that. So this would clarify that. It was sponsored by California Municipal Utilities Association, had a lot of support, and we'll see what happens next year. Senate Bill 72 is a reintroduction of Senate Bill 366, which we supported from last year. That is California Water for All. The main thing it does, it sets water supply targets for our state. Namely, it requires the Department of Water Resources to identify 9 million more acre feet of water by 2040. However, that might be groundwater recharge, desalination, conservation, a number of other ways to do that. That is on the Assembly floor for a vote. We have supported that. It was vetoed last year because there wasn't money allocated for that. This year it has more of a budget allocation for DWR to implement it, and we again have supported that. Senate Bill 394, I'm happy to report, was sent to the governor's desk yesterday. That increases penalties for people who steal water from fire hydrants. Yes, that does happen. So that's a good bill as well. One we've been supporting and is sponsored by Las Virgenes. And lastly, Assembly Bill 367, requiring backup power supply for Ventura County water suppliers. That did pass Senate appropriations on Friday with a number of amendments. There is a concurrence vote pending, meaning it was changed and it has to be agreed to, those changes by the first house. So that one is going to have a couple more procedural votes, and I do expect it will go to the governor's desk.
And I want to make a note on that one. I met with staff to discuss this bill beforehand. Staff has been working hard with Assemblymember Bennett to kind of change it in the favor of the water districts so it doesn't affect us as badly as it did before. I think right now, I know I had requested we put on the agenda. I think we don't do that if the board is okay with it, for the reasons that it looks like it's going to make it anyway. And we might just anger Assemblymember Bennett by doing that. So begrudgingly, I'm gonna recommend that we don't take a position on it.
Support that.
Yeah, I do have concerns about it as well. I don't know what the amendments were, but I see, you know, and it's funny, I see at least two other bills here that seem to forget size and capacity of smaller districts and what the demand is on resources that they may not have. And so that's where my interest in Warren and all the interrelationships comes.
Yeah, it does sound like many of our purveyors, what was it? Some, largely the county, supports it, but, you know, I think at this time, it's best if we stay out of it.
So I have a question about SB 707. CSDA is opposing. What's the reason for opposition?
Good question. CSDA was opposing. They've officially gone to neutral because of the amendments that took place on the second. It's neutral now because, as I mentioned, special districts weren't included and then they were, and that universe just expanded greatly. So CSDA worked very hard to narrow that universe. And again, they are neutral now, but they were opposed because it impacted special districts considerably.
Okay. They were able to restrict the criteria of application for that bill.
Exactly.
That brought a lot of people out of that, or a lot of districts out of qualifying for it. And SB 394, it says hydrant theft. I'm glad you specified those theft from hydrants.
Yes.
Theft of hydrant.
Someone over, I think in Oxnard or Weneme with a fire hydrant in their trunk. This is not to address that.
No, although that is also not a good thing.
It's not a good thing either. Okay. Any other questions?
Be at the other end of that wrench when on the last bolt of that hydrant.
There's a clay valve underneath the hydrants that are meant to shut off automatically.
You just gotta hit it with your truck and it goes out there.
Yeah, and then it shoots the truck up in the air. I've seen it.
So I was gonna say something about 601, but since it didn't pass, I guess I wanted to say anything about it. But I do think it's interesting on 428 that you know, this was something that Aqua GPIA was watching and initially came out pretty tough against it, but then I think they must have changed things a bit. And
Right. They had.
so they became kind of neutral.
Right.
And I'm just, maybe I'm asking a question here, but it just seems like this would be because the previous one would force Aqua GPIA to take these IOUs on board. And if that's not the case, then Aqua GPIA can compete, and that's okay with that.
Correct. They had extensive negotiation with the author's office and were able to come to a place of neutrality on it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
I'm not done yet.
Just state.
Just getting warmed up.
Hey.
So congressional legislation, happy to report there is no change from the matrix. And I just did want to report out the Lake Bard Pump Station funding earmarked by Congresswoman Brownlee is progressing. It passed the Interior Committee July 22nd. So lots more steps to go, but it's moving forward. She had requested 2 million. It's about 1.02 million that's currently in there for us. So hopefully it sticks around. Switching now to policy issue updates, there are 3 that I want to share with you all. The first one, you're well aware of the Delta Conveyance Project and the trailer bill. I'm going to skip down there. There is no language yet, bottom line. Right now, it's a big 3 negotiation, is my understanding, which means the governor, the Speaker of the Assembly, and the Senate President Pro Tem. Senate President Pro Tem does not support it. Speaker Rivas, we're not sure. And of course, obviously, the governor does support it. So my understanding is there will be no language until there is consensus among those 3 of what to put forward. As a reminder, we've been very active in this space. President Avila, Councilmember Litster from Simi Valley and I did our DCP lobby day. Director McMillan has gone viral on social media with 1,000+ views. So that's great. And we've sent 2 very comprehensive letters outlining the reasons this project is so important to our service area, one on May 30th and one last Friday, which will be in the next board packet. We are upping our social media game with the help of Kat's fabulous work to post nearly every day. DWR is putting out some really good content that we can repost. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And we are pursuing additional stakeholder letters. And with that, I want to just review. There are several to many Ventura County supporters of the DCP. So just as a refresher for the board, we have 3 cities right now officially in support: Simi, Camarillo, and Thousand Oaks. These are all very recent letters in regard to the trailer bill specifically. We have 3 chambers in support: Conejo Valley, Simi, and West Ventura County Business Alliance. And we have Ventura LAFCO. Thank you, President Avila, for your efforts to get that letter. CoLab is also a supporter, as is Conejo Recreation and Park District. And on that note, I think it's really important, and as Christine said this last night, to get other voices to weigh in on the Delta Conveyance Project, not just, necessarily water suppliers. So right now we have a pretty good array of stakeholders supporting it, and we're always looking for more. Switching now to golden mussels, this has been a big issue for water suppliers. They were first detected in the Delta about a year ago. They are spreading. We signed on to a stakeholder coalition letter to state legislative leadership outlining the issue and requesting some assistance, specifically funding and some fish and game code changes. And just yesterday, there was a legislator letter sent to legislative leadership, 70 signatories, including Senator Limon, asking for inclusion of funding and language in a resources trailer bill to address this issue. So it is being monitored, it is being addressed, and next year it is anticipated there will be a comprehensive funding plan put forward. Metropolitan is really a leader in this space. So it's good to know that this is getting the attention it deserves. And then I'll just end on Proposition 4. As a reminder, that was the $10 billion climate resilience bond passed last November. Had about $4 billion designated for water-related projects. The funding plan is yet to be unveiled. So in your packet this time is a coalition letter we signed on to legislative leadership requesting that funding be allocated. There's projects that are needing that funding. They're ready to go. So it needs to reach the folks who need it. And then just on a staff level in partnership with Las Virgenes, I reached out with my counterpart over there to legislators that overlap our 2 districts to ask them also to put forward a Prop 4 funding plan. So those are the issues and bills I wanted to update you all on. Appreciate your attention.
Thank you, Charlotte. We have a question for Charlotte, Director Quady.
This is, so we'll be watching HR 1311.
Absolutely. Yes. The Delta tunnel. Yeah. Yeah, that's just been introduced. And yes, we need to decide on the positioning on that one, but certainly monitoring it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Okay, fiscal year 2024-25 conservation and water use efficiency programs recap. Jennifer Vasquez.
Jen, our Principal Water Resources Specialist, will be providing this annual update. The board gets this update roughly at this time of year, every year, to see how our various conservation water use efficiency programs have been performing. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board. Give me 1 second. I'll bring it up on the screen. It up and going. Little preview there for the content. Thank you for your patience. So today I'm really excited, as was mentioned, to present on the water use efficiency programs for Calleguas. We do a wrap up of the fiscal year, typically to share information on all of the programs that are available to residents and all of the participation, as you will see in the slides. I'm really excited to share just the community efforts and the participation that we're seeing with our water use efficiency programs. So the agenda for my presentation follows just a variety of the programs that are available, starting off with participation in the metropolitan regional programs. switching gears to the partnerships with our purveyors and the programs that they are running through some of the additional funding that's available. And then ending with our Calleguas sponsored programs, and then wrapping up with a highlight of what's ahead for this current fiscal year that we're in, some of the programs that are continuing and the participation levels that we're seeing. So for the Metropolitan Regional Program, the way that I structured my slides, I did want to provide some background just so you're aware of what the programs are. And then I'll go into the actual participation levels just for to make sure everyone's updated and on the same page of how these different programs run. So for the regional program, it does provide device and turf replacement incentives in the member agency service area as a whole. And funding for individual projects are also funded through what's called the Member Agency Administered Program, or MAP, as we call it in the water use efficiency space. It typically is administered in the metropolitan system in a 2-year cycle. They establish the budget, and that's the funding that's available for the conservation programs. Program agreements are administered by sectors. So we have residential and commercial, industrial, and institutional. I included, RES and CII. Those are typically the terms that we use for the agreements, but that's what I'm referencing usually, residential and CII. So SoCal WaterSmart is the rebate website that is still utilized for all of the device and turf replacement rebates. That's where residents go on, as you see there on the screen, and basically select if they are residential or commercial rebates as for putting in the application information. So it is that one place where they can see all of that information. Now, a little bit more detail into the turf replacement rebate program. So incentives are available for both residential and CII. This one's the second bullet is a little different because there have been recent updates, but we like to say that the base rate amount for the rebate is $2 per square foot, which is what's available for any of the areas that are grass and removed through the project. Metropolitan did receive recent grants. You might have seen some information, and I'll touch on that in the later slides. And they apply that additional grant, typically grant funding, into their application process so that residents are able to maximize the dollar amounts. Seeing a question.
Question about base rate, $2 per square foot. Was it $3 before it was reduced from 3 to 2?
So the base rate is $2. With the additional grant that Metropolitan received, they did bump it to $3. And even most recent news, I guess I'll share it now, is $7 if you have for CII and public agency. So it gets a little confusing explaining it. But for on the residential side, it is $3, as you noted, although that is only based on the grant. So that's really what how we try to explain it. Basically, because if any resident logs in and for some reason, if the grant is all spent, they would be extremely disappointed logging on and finding out. So we typically promote it as a $2 rate just to get either a nice surprise, usually when the application comes, as opposed to the other way, them being extremely upset about $3 not being $3, being $2. So we usually recommend residents go directly on the SoCal WaterSmart website. That's typically what we promote when we are out in public, and even with the retail agency speaking directly to residents. Go on the website for estimating your rebate. That's the best way to do it because of that reason.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we call it just the base rate. And as I'll show, Metropolitan is promoting that additional incentive. On our end, we just push everyone to that SoCal WaterSmart website so that they directly connect with the rebate application there. A great question. Yeah, it gets a little confusing with residential and commercial properties.
And I do have a question, just so you know, if anyone's listening. Is this something that you have to do in advance of a project, or can you, if you've done a project recently, can you see if it qualifies or amend your project to
Yeah, we get that question very often. And so for turf replacement, you do have to apply first and get an approval from the system. Essentially, they review your application. And I don't think I included too much information on the actual application process, but I speak to residents, and essentially what you submit is 5 photos of the area, a landscape plan. And so you can see an example of that on the screen. It's a little bit harder to see, I realized. And then also a copy of your recent water bill are the 3 items that are requested prior to starting your turf replacement project. For device, for like a high efficiency toilet, that's a little different. You actually can submit your rebate after the purchase because they are requesting the receipt. So again, a little bit of a difference, but for turf replacement specifically, it is something that you do need to get pre-approval prior to starting your application, because that landscape plan essentially tells the system or whoever's reviewing it that you are meeting requirements, which I've included here.
Yeah, I recently did a turf replacement myself. You have to prepare the photos, you have to have a plan, you have to print everything, they have to approve it, then do the work, then submit everything back. Same place, photos and plans. It's an elaborate process.
Do you have to have dead turf first?
So they are now requiring it to be alive. There was a point where they were a little bit more lax on the grass condition. Although if there is a pushback, they do come back to us as a member agency to see if we allow the look of the grass. And those are emails that Jennifer typically receives to review if, it's that in between kind of look where the grass might not be fully dead. Usually it's where there's portions of bare dirt and it's clear that there has not been grass there for a while. But yeah, so at this state, they say grass. It can be a little unhappy, but it's usually what we tell people. It's like, it can't be, something that's fully bare dirt that you are now trying to get credit for the rebate. And that's how they typically review those 5 photos that are submitted to the system. So, yeah. The project must include a minimum of 3 plants per 100 square feet of the area transformed. And I'm happy to hear that one of our board members recently participated. And so I'd love to hear more information offline. And then the stormwater retention feature, which really means a swale or a rain barrel, something that captures water on your landscape. And then areas must be permeable, so no concrete, no paving over. It does have to be permeable space. Any areas that you do want to pave over would be excluded from the square footage when you are going through the rebate. No synthetic turf, that's another question that we get quite often. And again, no paved areas are accepted through the rebate. Irrigations also address the replacement or modification of the overhead spray sprinklers are looked at, and that information is requested when you submit for your square footage reimbursement. So on the actual activity side, I'm happy to report that a total of 110 turf replacement projects were processed for the fiscal year. So this means obviously July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. It just wrapped up. I was really, again, I'm always surprised and really happy to see the activity that went through over $1 million in metropolitan funding and 28,000 in Calleguas funding. I do have to clarify that this is supplemental funding that essentially was allotted earlier prior to this fiscal year. They were just the last applications that we're finishing. We have not added supplemental funding just because Metropolitan is adding a lot of funding currently through their grants, both the United States Bureau of Reclamation and Department of Water Resources. They are adding through that grant, and so they are putting in a lot of money for the square footage. So a total of 485,000 square feet roughly were removed in that fiscal year through those applications that are mentioned, and 63 acre feet per year of water saved, roughly 20.5 million gallons of water. So for turf replacement activity, I did something very similar to what I did last year. It included kind of a draw all of the points for the turf replacement activity, just so you're visually able to see where those applications went through, so that you can see that they're spread out. And of course, some of them overlap each other since they follow the community and the neighborhood there. And my favorite part personally is showing off the great photos. This is where I really want to give credit to Cassie Macias, our intern in the water resource team. One of the things that, I personally love to do, and she was able to do an amazing job, is do a great collection of the before and afters that really speak to the benefits of changing out a lot of the times the front yard. And so she went ahead and collected great before and after pictures. This basically included going on SoCal WaterSmart and sorting through a lot of pictures. And she was able to really create a great folder full of amazing photos for featuring on our website, social media. And so this is the first one included here, the before and after. This is a residential turf project in Camarillo. And their rebate amount was close to $5,000 with about 1,500 square feet removed. And you can see there that they did their front yard primarily for that project.
Jennifer, on the after pictures, is that, are those walkways granite or something permeable?
That's decomposed granite, and it is allowed through the rebate, so it is permeable because it is compacted, essentially sand is how they describe it. So yeah, that's allowed through the rebate as long as it's not concrete in the space. So yeah.
That looks great.
The next one that I wanted to feature is a replacement project in Simi Valley. That one is approximately $5,500 of rebate, and they changed out 1,800 or so square feet of turf replaced. You can see that people really get into it. They completely changed the front of their home. They even new fencing, new paint color. So it really builds this kind of, the garden goes really well with their front yard now, I think. And they were able to do those slabs, which counts towards permeability again. So they really thought about how to meet with the requirements and also obviously use very low water use plants within their space. I also wanted to show and highlight some of the commercial projects that go through the system, because I think those are very important, primarily because of a new legislation that is AB 1572 that deals with non-functional turf. And we will be hearing a lot more of that in the next few years, and it relates to commercial properties, primarily those areas of grass that are not really used for recreation, for playing, for, they're just pieces and areas of grass. And so this commercial property in Simi really took kind of a great step towards removing that, what we would consider non-functional turf, and transformed it and was able to receive additional funding for it now with the rebates. So they did change out 2,200 or so square feet of turf replaced. And this was the same landscape design that I featured earlier on. One of the things that I love to see is just people that are designing their own space. You can obviously tell that they drew it themselves. They measured out the area, and they were pretty simple. And these are the landscape design plans that can be accepted through the process. Some people go the very professional route, and some people just, know what their plan is. And that's the vision that comes through after the completion of the project. And then commercial turf replacement. I also wanted to feature an HOA property that was recently completed in Thousand Oaks. This one is a large one, and you can see the before and after there. They did a lot of those entrance areas that you typically see along the street. And so they did close to 40,000 or so square feet of turf that they replaced and received about $80,000 to remove that grass. I will point out that they did leave some grass. So you can see the large area of grass there in the before, but they did very strategic placing of the turf replacement, which I think is a great idea. If they have some area of grass that they are still going to utilize for outdoor space, but then removing those areas where people along the street are not going to be really walking through or using in that way. So we'll start seeing a lot of that again because of the non-functional turf item. But I just wanted to highlight that great work that they did in Thousand Oaks. Okay, switching gears to high efficiency device rebates. I won't go through all of the actual devices, but I just wanted to highlight what's available. The plus signs that you're seeing is supplemental funding that Calleguas does add to those particular devices to make it more appealing for residents, for example, that are purchasing high efficiency clothes washers so that they have that little, that amount, added amount to the rebate. And so these are all of the device amounts or devices that are rebated through the system. And then I calculated all of the items and the number of rebates. So the actual number of rebates that again were processed through the fiscal year, the Calleguas rebate amount, and then the Metropolitan rebate amount. You can see there that there were a total of 1,006 rebates processed through this past fiscal year, with about roughly $167,000. And the placement of those device rebates, again, really fun to see across our service area of where they were located, obviously following the pockets of neighborhood that we have. But I thought that was also really, really nice to see spread across our service area. And switching gears to member agency administered program, or MAP, as I called it earlier. This is funding that is available in a 2-year cycle. So it became available fiscal year 24-25, and it is still currently available 25-26, for a total amount of $451,000 that is able to be utilized towards water use efficiency programs. Typically that's in the use of for the retail agencies applying for that funding. And so I listed the type of projects that are accepted. Really how the process works is they submit a proposal to Metropolitan that is first reviewed by Calleguas as a member agency. The project is implemented and then reimbursed through verification, submitting to Metropolitan, and it does appear as a credit on the water bill for us. So for it being kind of that halfway point in this 2-year cycle, we are in a really good shape as far as the committed amounts that we are seeing out of the 451,000 that I mentioned. We have a committed and requested amount of 312,000 from all of the projects that have been received and accepted by Metropolitan and are working their way through completion. So we have, and if end of the 312, we have spent officially 129,000. Below, I included projects that are either going through now or have been completed. And that includes our Ventura County gardening website, our conservation framework shared services, which Jennifer has presented about in the past, which offers support for the conservation framework. And it actually is one of the main ways that a lot of that funding has been utilized, that number that you're seeing now. A lot of our retail agencies are receiving support for the conservation framework, whether that's commercial classification, which is part of that legislation. It helps them with the data request that is then being submitted to the state for that regulation. Additional projects include Fix a Leak Months activities, leak detection survey. Also, we have a leak detection sensor project at CLU student housing, True Colors garden signage. We actually went out to that garden, which is located in Thousand Oaks, and they are looking at bringing new signage to their space. They have a great collection of low drought tolerant plants that they're featuring for the community. And so they would appreciate new signage to help the community understand, what they're seeing and get more inspired while on the property. And then lastly, working through some CII non-functional turf designs as well. All right, almost there. The Calleguas sponsored programs are basically the Calleguas programs that we have. Our great partnership with the UC Master Gardeners of Ventura County include the drip irrigation workshops, the plant sale that was held, and I have some great pictures coming up for that. The Firewise Living from structure to landscape classes that are still going as a webinar format. It's a free virtual workshop that happens the last Tuesday of the month. And it's again, a great partnership that we have with the UC Master Gardeners. The Rain Barrel sale and distribution, which again have great photos for this last one that just passed. And then the community booths and events and tours that are offered through with the water resource team, engaging people through these activities. So the spring plant sale was held on March 1st of 2025 here at Calleguas HQ. We did have a total of 265 plants sold out in 45 minutes. So I'm actually very thankful for, I don't remember who took this picture, but I'm glad that they did at the time that they did, because then it would just be a picture of the tables and like nothing else. So yeah. It was actually quite fun to see the community show up and be excited for us to have this type of community event. You know, they had everything they needed really in one place. They had for sale information from our booth. We did set up our Calleguas booth there. You see our staff and information about the rebates and what's available. And on top of that, we had classes running in our boardroom. So those were extremely popular, as you can see by the picture. You know, they had different hours and times for them to attend, and they came in into this boardroom to listen and learn on how to take care of their new plants, what to think about, and, you know, be well prepared once they left with their new plants from this day. The rain barrel sale and distribution was another two events that we hosted in this past fiscal year. There were a total of 124 rain barrels distributed within those two distribution events, and you can see our flyer there for the event, and then loading up the actual rain barrels into the cars. And so this is something that Megan Schneider actually led during those two distribution events, and we were able to distribute those out with a pre-sale and a pre-order. And then really cool pictures of community events that we participated in. So I again had a lot of fun looking through everything that we participated, from the Thousand Oaks Arbor Earth Day to Conejo Audubon Lake visit, of them actually going around the lake to see all of these species. Also the Pleasant Valley School District student presentation, which I'm quite jealous that I was not able to attend, because it sounded really cool with the aquifer presentation that was given and the ice cream that was involved, which is why you see so much excitement in that picture. Yeah, quite jealous that I missed that one, but a great staff participation and teaching moment for everyone in the school there. And then wrapping up, Oxnard Performing Arts Center Native Plant Fest is another event that we participate in every single year. Also additional site tours that we just offer for education, from Future Camp to, again, the Audubon Society. We are always happy to educate our public on what we do here at Calleguas and how important it is for the community that we're serving. And looking ahead, we are definitely very excited to continue our partnership with the UC Master Gardeners, from the Firewise Living classes to the True Color Garden updates to the drip irrigation workshops. Participation in community events, usually there's a lull in the summertime, but we ramp up in the fall and the spring. So we're excited for that as well. And then non-functional turf resources as well that I talked about through some of that design work that was mentioned that is going through the MAP funding. We're excited for the increased rebate amounts for the turf replacement rebates, because we know that $7 for commercial and public agency, I have to say that because it's not for residential, is going to create a lot of attention, really. We are going to see Metropolitan ramp up their communication of the turf replacement program, which really means a lot of more applications coming in, more questions coming up. And that's really an opportunity for us to communicate and highlight a lot of these great before and after pictures that we have available to us. And then our turnkey turf transformation project is still ongoing. They are beginning outreach, and because Calleguas was so on top of all of the paperwork that was needed, this is the direct installation project work that, again, Jennifer has highlighted in the past. And they are all focused in public agency direct installations with Simi Valley, Port Hueneme, and Oxnard. And so that will be moving forward as well for this current fiscal year. And I'm excited to bring in additional information once we get rolling on actual installation. Lastly, the MAP conservation framework support for our retail agencies. We're finishing out some of that work. I'm excited to see what type of products come out of that. With a lot of our retail agencies working with different consultants to bring support for their conservation framework reporting. That's, every year. So we are seeing what they are utilizing that funding for, and they can receive that additional assistance. Okay, and that's it for me. That's the last of my slides. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, and hopefully I didn't overwhelm with too many numbers. I realize that for me, it's really exciting, but it is a lot of numbers, especially with the dollar amount. So thank you for your patience.
Jen, I want to say thank you. Great presentation. I feel bad that you had to stand up there for so long. There was so much information. Thank you for pulling through and getting through it. Do we have questions? Comments, Director Quady?
Yeah, how are you going to improve on this for next year?
I think a video format is probably the direction. Albert.
What are the ideas? What are the ideas?
I don't know.
I think it's fantastic that we facilitate this for our community and fantastic work, really. Everybody who was involved, all of our staff. I know it's a group effort, and the community coming here and participating in these events here on site, I think is also valuable to, show them where we are, who we are, and really kind of get that family feel. So great job, everybody.
Yeah, and I will add, I'll take that opportunity to just add, I realized I didn't include it out of all of the information, but we are looking at doing that native plant sale or that plant sale here in the future. We don't have an exact set date. We are obviously looking at 2026 because of the excitement that it generated, and we saw the connection that it gave us to the community. For that reason, we think it's a fantastic way of promoting our programs.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, up next, we have General Counsel report.
I'll report this evening, but as you can see on the agenda, we have a closed session.
Okay, next up, we have committee meeting reports.
No committee meetings to
No
report.
committee meetings. Report on ancillary duties, Aqua Region 8.
Okay, I think you also have the general manager's email on the committees, so that deadline's coming up. I think you guys were looking for 9/12, but they're really due by 9/19.
Try to give Kara some time to correlate information and send it on.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and then announcement of election results through 9/26, and that's it.
In JPA?
No report.
No report. AWUA? I don't think T-Bo's attended a meeting since they were.
There hasn't been one.
But I did attend the Reagan committee. We did select a winner for the leadership award. And what else did we cover? Covered things like music and entertainment. They covered the baskets. They said thank you for the baskets that the staff donated. And that was about it. Big thing there was the selection of the award. So stand by for that.
There's a AWA board meeting tomorrow.
Bucks County GMA.
No meetings.
No meeting. Metropolitan Water District.
Yes, on September the 2nd, the Legal and Claims Planning meeting and the MWD's legislative updates.
Okay, thank you. No meeting for LAFCO. VCRA.
No meetings.
No meetings. VCSDA. Dr. Robert.
We had a meeting here last night that was overwhelmingly positive results. Nice tour of the district, and it's funny, as many tours as I've been on, you always learn something. You always see something new. So that was great. A fantastic presentation by our very own general manager. And I think everybody at VCSDA really enjoyed the meeting.
Thank you, Director.
I was surprised number of people who attended. When I came in, parking lot was full.
Yes.
And all the directors were here.
Incredible turnout.
Yeah.
They ran out of room on the golf carts for the tour. So some of us who had been on tours before decided to stay behind.
Right.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Next up is director's list of admin code reimbursable meetings. Director Quady.
Attended the VCSDA event last meeting. I did direct Robert's comments, and it's a nice board meeting.
Okay. Director Pacala.
VSDA last night, today's board meeting.
Okay. Robert.
Tonight's board meeting and last night's VCSDA.
Director McMillan.
Yes, on August the 28th, I attended our purveyors meeting. August the 29th, I did a DISC workplace assessment for upcoming retreat. August the 30th, I did some CSDA training on developing and updating comprehensive emergency operation plans. September the 2nd, the VCSDA meeting at headquarters here, and then tonight's.
I forgot to fill in from August. On the 29th, we have a site inspection here. And on the 31st, fishing training.
Okay. For myself, since the last board meeting, I did not report at the last board meeting, so I'm going back a little bit further.
You got a few?
I have a few. On the, you see, on the 11th, I called into the Metropolitan Special Board meeting. It was mostly closed session, so it was I was stuck on the closed session screen for a long time. So not counting that one, but I did call into it. It's okay, I have plenty others. On the 19th, I called into the Metropolitan Board meeting. On the 26th, Metropolitan Water District Subcommittee on Imported Water. 27th was the Simi Valley Chamber of Commerce. Legislative Affairs. On the 18th was the Simi Valley City Council meeting. On the 29th was the Calleguas inspection tour we did here with Omar and Christine. On the 28th, I did the DISC personality test. And yesterday was VCSDA and tonight's board meeting. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And now we have a discussion regarding upcoming meetings to be attended by the board. Do we have anything other outside the norms?
Can I just highlight that the next board meeting is also the retreat? It will start at noon, lunch at 11:30, and it's the Oak Park Community Center, same facility where we held the LV interconnection event, but in a different room. So, and thank you all for doing your DISC surveys. So those results will be provided to you at the event.
So it's going to be from noon till 6 p.m.
We're planning to do noon to 4 on the retreat and then do regular board business at 4. I'm going to attempt to keep that as short as possible, but based on the last board meeting, there were several requests and there's also some time critical thing.
It could be a long day.
Yeah, long day.
So we'll try to keep it the regular board meeting as short as possible.
Okay, upcoming meetings, Director Pacala.
Well, I plan to attend GEM Executive Committee meeting, that's tomorrow at Ventura County office. I'm also going to be attending Moore Park General Plan Update meeting in Moore Park on September 9th. I'll be joining our general manager, giving a tour to Supervisor Kelly Long. That's on September 10th. That's here. And AWA Water Issues Committee by Zoom. I was also invited to visit Camarillo desalter project by the staff. So I plan to go there on September 30th.
Great. Anybody else have anything outside the norm that they'd like to report? Okay, moving on. Any requests for future agenda items? Okay, nothing. Board member comments?
I just have a comment. Our website is not updated to show the board members' assignments for 2025. And today, Kara sent me assignments. I didn't remember which committees I'm on. So I'm just saying that the website is not updated.
All right, we will take care of that.
Okay. And as far as the Camarillo desalter, if any of you interested, if any of staff members are interested, I can add your names to the tour of the Camarillo desalter project.
Thank you, Director Pacala. Number 11 is informational items. Has the board had time to review those? And do you have any question on the information items?
I would just like to highlight how awesome the water jobs flyer is. That's another more of Jen Vasquez's work. I think it's just really, I think it's visually appealing. I think it fulfills a need that isn't fulfilled by anything else and does a great job of sharing not just why careers in water are good, where to find those jobs, as well as representing the really diverse types of careers that are available in water, not just the obvious ones of engineer or operator. So, and also that QR code links to our website where there are the amazing water career videos as well. So just want to highlight that awesome accomplishment.
It brings you straight to those videos that were so inspirational. So I like that, that's where that went.
Great work, Jen. Thank you very much. And with that, I am closing the open session and opening the closed session.
And we will be
Hey, closed session is closed. We are back in open session. No action was taken. The board received some information about our security and that was it.